besides our favorite sporting events to attend, I know what you guys are all here for. You are here to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. And not only are you here to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals, you are here to talk about one position specifically. And right before jumping on here, I just saw a video of Mel Kiper talking about who the Cincinnati Bengals should take at 28. And I happen to agree with him. So the position we are going to discuss is tight end. Adam, are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready for this. Let's do it.
All right. We're going to give our top 5 tight ends in the draft that we think the Cincinnati Bengals should take. Adam, before we jump into it, what do you look for when you look at the tight ends? Like, what are you scouting?
So I would be scouting for the Bengals, of course.
Yeah.
So the Bengals would want somebody who, of course, is going to be a good target for Burrow, of course. But not only that, but you want somebody that can be a good blocker, an elite blocker in some cases in the run game, but also on the line in the passing game as well. So somebody that's physical but also athletic. Somebody that you can count on in the red zone. So I think that somebody like that, that has all those intangibles would be kind of who the Bengals would tend to gravitate towards.
I love it. I take the same approach, except I put a little less stock in if they're a good receiver or not. And I'm warning you right now, if you have a certain name on your list, I'm going to reach through this computer and I'm going to strangle you.
I know who that name is, and he is on my list.
I'm going to strangle you. All right.
Let me be prepared for that then. But
all right, we're going. And we've already started talking about offensive linemen, so we've already butted heads on that.
Yeah.
Offline.
We have a little bit.
We'll say
but that's a good thing. Hey, that's good. We shouldn't agree on everything.
Oh, we won't.
All right,
especially with this list.
So let's hear your list, Glenn.
You
Adams.
Want all 5, or do you want to start at 5?
Let's start at 5. Go for it.
All right, number 5, Luke Schoonmaker, Michigan. I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so right now he's all over the place when it comes to where he's going to be drafted. So PFF has him at 95. Draft Buzz, who does like an accumulation of a whole bunch of draft sites, has him at 93.3. But interesting, NFL.com has him at 43. I like him. Obviously, I like him. He's on my top 5 list. But I think 43, I think he's even at 60. When the Bengals pick at 60, I think that's a little bit too high for him in the second round, especially when I think about the other targets in other positions that we need to address. So, however, if he's there at 92, I would love that. All he did was block at Michigan. Like, that's all he did. He ran blocked. He wasn't the best pass blocker, but he did it willingly. Against Penn State, I watched him. He got beat to the spot a couple of times on a couple of run blocks. But other than that, he was pretty good. He has great hands. He has some pretty big time catches. I think he's the best of both worlds as far as catching and blocking. He's not the best of the best, but he's, as far as catching and blocking, he's one of the best in this draft. But at 92, not at 60, and definitely not at 28.
So I totally agree with you. And actually, he did make my list. And I'll just kind of sort of piggyback what you were saying with him. He's a better run blocker, I think, than in pass protection, which he's effective. The one thing that kind of jumped out at me is he's dependable. You can depend on him to block. You can depend on him in the passing game. He actually runs pretty good routes. He does have, he does have a little speed, but he's nothing that really is going to blow you away necessarily.
4.6, 340.
Yeah. So and he does have good hands, but he's one of those guys. He's probably not going to be somebody you could really trust in traffic. He's not going to come up with, big contested catch. He's not going to have a big contested catch rate. But
I know where you're going with that.
Okay.
You telegraphed that.
To be determined.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, I totally agree with you. He did make my list, and I like it.
Yeah. What number? What number did you have him?
I had him. He would be my 4th.
4th? Okay.
Yeah. But you're right. He's not somebody I would pick up in the second round. It seems like he's more of sort of a mid-round kind of target. But
oh yeah, definitely.
We'll see.
Yeah, 3rd round at the earliest, I would target him. But
yeah, that's fair.
I don't think he might make it to day 3, but you never know.
Yeah, you never know.
All right.
So, good one.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Number 4, I'm going way, way, way down the list here. Payne Durham, Purdue. I actually love this dude. Like for him, like PFF still has him sitting at 340 overall, 340th, which is just, I think that's just ridiculous. NFL Draft Buzz has him at 239. Well, he's actually gone up to 233. Mock Draft Database actually has him 170th overall. So Mock Draft Database, they take all the mock drafts that have him there and they put him 170th. So I'm thinking 6th, 7th round, definitely. If he's an undrafted free agent, like he's going to get picked up. He's got to get drafted. 6th, 7th round seems about right for him. He does everything well. He pass catches, he blocks. He's a very good run blocker, probably a better run blocker than pass blocker, but he can get the job done. I saw him miss a block against Maryland. He got beat bad by an NFL prospect. But other than that, he held up pretty well while he was pass blocking. So that's something that I actually look for, because Zach Taylor still insists for some reason to pass block with tight ends. So if Zach Taylor's still doing that, we need somebody who's good at that. I think he's highly underrated at 340. I think 170 is about right for him. Payne Durham, Purdue, number 4.
Nice. He's somebody I didn't really study a whole lot, and I know his name basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll have to check him out.
Your 4th?
All right. Actually, my 5th. Schoonmaker was my 4th. My 5th was is Brenton Strange out of Penn State.
Yeah.
I saw his combine and whatnot. He was actually really impressive to me. And then when kind of noticing where he's sort of falling in these mock drafts, it seems to be like maybe a 5th or 6th round type of guy. So later rounds, I think if he's there, he would be a really good fit. Because he is somebody who has good athleticism and toughness. He was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school. He's a good lead blocker. I think Penn State used him as a lead blocker at times in the run game. Pass protection's not bad. It can get a lot better with, technique and whatnot, maybe just kind of, recognizing different schemes and blitz packages and things like that. But he is dependable as a pass target as well, which is something that I like. I want a tight end who can catch. He does fight for the extra yard. He can be a dependable starter at some point, and like I said, somebody that you can draft in later rounds if you're the Bengals. We talk about value-based drafting and things like that, kind of like Durham, as you were saying, just somebody that is probably underrated, somebody that's kind of flying under the radar, and Strange would be one of those guys for me.
I looked at him a lot. He didn't crack my top 5, but I did spend a lot of time looking at him. There were some things I liked and there were some things I don't like. I liked him enough to keep watching him, because usually if I don't like a guy, I just move on rather quickly. But I did like him, but just not enough for what the Bengals need him to do.
All right, Glenn. So who is your number 3 tight end?
All right. So my number 3 tight end is Allen Davis, Clemson. So PFF, once again, 136 draft buzz overall. Accumulation of mock drafts has him at 186. A very good run blocker, like most of these guys actually, except for a couple. A willing pass blocker, and he's a nice receiver as well. If the Bengals haven't addressed the tight end position before day 3, and they want somebody who can block and who can catch, I think even before Payne Durham, I think his value is better than Luke Schoonmaker. I apologize. So if we can get him day 3, round 4 or 5, something like that, I think that's incredible value for a guy who's looking a little bit underrated. When I look at the other tight ends and I look at Allen Davis or Davis Allen.
Yep.
Yeah. he has he has everything that the Bengals need as far as blocking and pass catching. 39 receptions, 423 yards, and 5 touchdowns last year, which is pretty much what a lot of these guys that I looked at did, actually. So except for some of the other more receiving threat type of guys at the top of the draft, everybody came in around that number as far as receptions and touchdowns and receiving yards. So 4th or 5th round, Davis Allen. I really like him. He's one of my favorites, obviously top 3. So I really like him.
I did look at him and I thought the same thing. I liked him. I like the touchdown numbers. I just don't think Clemson really utilized him as much as they should have. So, and I think they had another tight end that they were using as well. So his numbers, I think, are a little bit misleading. But you're right. I actually did look up some tape to see if, just to see him blocking and being utilized in the run game and pass game and whatnot in that regard. There's just not a whole lot out there, unfortunately, from what I found. So, but yeah, I like it. I definitely like that.
Yeah. Well, I scour this stuff, Adam. You know me. I'm looking at, I'm watching the games. I'm like actually watching every single play of these dudes. Unlike the people who get paid to actually draft the people. You would think they don't watch them at all, or well, I'll talk about that later.
All right. I know we're going with that too.
Yeah. Number 3.
All right. My number 3, you're not going to like. He's somebody that I really like. And it's Sam Laporta, tight end out of Iowa.
Okay. I thought it was the other guy.
Well, he's coming. Don't worry. So Laporta's 6'3", 245. What I really like about him is his ability to run routes. He can stretch the field. So I mean, you can throw him a deep ball. He's good against zone coverage. You can find him over the middle. He's pretty tough to bring down. He's slippery. He's tough to tackle. He's very athletic. Another guy who's not great in traffic, but he does have good hands. Decent blocker. I mean, blocking is not his strong suit necessarily. He needs to improve in the run game, blocking, but he's somebody I think can get better at that. And obviously it's with Iowa tight ends, there's a long litany of tight ends that have come out of there and been pretty successful. Like Hawkinson and Fant and Kittle and these guys. So it's kind of tight end if you will, at Iowa. So Laporta is just a guy that I kind of liked from day one, when we started kind of scouting these guys. So that would be my number 3.
Yeah. Hard to not like his speed. That's for sure. One of the things I said, don't count on him run blocking consistently, effectively.
Yeah, I think he'll be a second round pick from what I've seen. I don't know that he'll crack the first round. I mean, he could, but he'll be high on somebody's boards.
Yeah, but all right, if he's going to be high on somebody's board, that means the Bengals will have to draft him at 28.
They'd have to take it. Well, if he slips to their spot in the second round, which is possible, that's where I see him going.
Okay, a receiving tight end.
He's a receiving tight end. Yep.
Which is something that I don't think the Bengals have to have, but I guess it's up to me now. Number 2. All right. Number 2, who I agree with, Mel Kiper Jr., and that's never really a good thing, but Darnell Washington, Georgia. Listen, I know this is one of those times where I look at Bengals Twitter and I go, you guys might have something right for once. When you talk about Darnell Washington, look, he's not my Jake Ferguson, but he is the closest thing to my Jake Ferguson. He doesn't have the flashy receiving numbers, except 16.2 yards per reception, 17.2 yards per reception for his career. And we're going to compare that to somebody, I think, a little bit later. PFF has him at 71. No way. Like, the teams are going to fall in love with his size, with his speed. They're just going to look at this massive man of humanity and they're going to be like, yeah, our guy's bigger than your guy, our guy's stronger than your guy, our guy is faster than your guy. Put him in line. People are talking about in line. He can do everything. He lined up in line, he lined up as a wing, he lined up as a receiver. He can do everything. He's not just a blocking tight end. Now, that's going to be the word on the street, a blocking tight end. But you know what? At least he's a blocking tight end who can block. Sometimes, you remember we had another tight end who just... What happened to, what's his name? I've already forgotten his name.
Sample.
Yes.
Drew Sample.
That guy. He just kind of disappeared. Nobody talked about re-signing him. Nobody banged the table. Like, hey, he just kind of disappeared. Nobody knows where he went. Nobody knows what happened to him. No news, nothing. What happened? You know what? That sounds like a good article idea. What happened to Drew Sample? Nobody's even talking about, good riddance. He just, oof. He just disappeared. And everybody called him a blocking tight end, and nobody checked to see if he could block. And it's like, yeah, you might. So at least Darnell Washington is a tight end who can block. So if you want to call him a blocking tight end, you can. But I think that would be a good thing, because when he goes out and beats people off the ball, then people are going to be shocked. Right? He's Jelani Woods.
But better, yeah.
He's Jelani Woods, but better. You called Jelani Woods. I looked at him and I said he couldn't catch. Somehow he started catching balls in Indianapolis. I don't know what they did with him. I don't know how that happened, because he dropped damn near everything from what I could tell. But he's Jelani Woods who can catch the ball. So yeah, I love Darnell Washington. He's not number one, because that's still 28 overall, and you're still spending it on a tight end. And we need pass rush. We need corners, maybe offensive linemen. Even if you want to do the whole draft the offensive lineman in the first round this year, even, and keep Jonah Williams and prepare the guy, because you know the Bengals are good for that as well. So that's why I put him 2 and not 1. But if the Bengals drafted Darnell Washington, I would not be mad at that. Not at all. There's only really one tight end that the Bengals need to be concentrating on in the first round. There's only one. Adam, there's only one. It's like the Highlander. There can be only one. Dude, there's only one Adam. One Adam. Hear me?
I hear you.
One.
All right. You want to hear my number 1?
No, I want to hear your number 2.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you my number 1 because it's Darnell Washington.
Yeah.
Yes. 6'7", 264. He was a top 25 recruit out of high school. The guy he's an anomaly. He's somebody who could redefine the tight end position. In fact, he's been kind of likened as a 6th offensive lineman. In fact, offensive line needy teams could convert him to an offensive lineman.
Don't say
that's
that.
That's how probably not going to happen.
No.
But out of desperation. But he is a blocking tight end, as you said. He's also a freak in the passing game, in the red zone. He's 6'7".
Athletic.
3rd and 6.
All
3rd and 7. Athletic. 3rd and 6. 3rd and 7.
Red zone.
Yeah. Throw it to Darnell Washington. The guy is a freak. Obviously, everyone fell in love with him, after the combine with that one-handed catch and all that stuff. Well, as far as the blocking too, did you see the sled drills?
That was
Washington
comical.
basically just picked the thing up, and it was nothing to him. All the other guys are struggling to even move it, a half a foot. So
that was fun.
Now the thing is that he doesn't have a ton of college reps. He was either buried on a depth chart or was dealing with some injuries throughout his college career at Georgia. But his intangibles, what he brings to the table, could make an NFL team just kind of instantly transform on how they're going to use their how they're going to operate their offense. He's just, I didn't want to fall in love with him because I thought it was all hype, kind of like the Kyle Pitts stuff, which that's probably more Falcons, but this guy's crazy special. So he's my number 1.
Yeah. Darnell Washington, he should be my number 1. I tried to do something a little bit different, but yeah, if the Bengals are going to draft a tight end first round, it's got to be Darnell Washington. Yeah, there's no other person to be thinking about. I don't care what your favorite Twitter scout says, because your favorite Twitter scout told you that the Bengals should draft Liam Eichenberg. Remember that. Don't ever forget that. Do not ever forget that. Your favorite Twitter scouts don't actually watch these people's play. They just throw out numbers. They throw out RAS scores. They throw out athletic profiles, blah, blah, blah. Blah. They don't actually watch these people play. Darnell Washington can pass block. He can run block. He is faster than your number 2. He's just as fast as all these other guys that I mentioned, except for Laporta. Laporta's he's a whatever. He's a freak. But Washington is just as fast as those other guys, and he can catch the ball. He is your Jelani Woods, but better. So yeah, I love him. And if the Bengals do decide to draft a tight end in the first round, and it's not Darnell Washington, I will I don't know what I'll do. I will be highly upset. Highly upset. Now, if he goes off the board before the Bengals pick, obviously, then yeah. But yeah, PFF has him at 71. That's just ridiculous. That's just stupid. Right now, NFL Draft Buzz has him at 39, and Mock Draft Database has him at 33. So there's a good chance that he will still be there at 20. What are we picking? 28. So yeah, he hopefully he's there. And if he is there, and let's say my favorite DB is off the board at that time, or my favorite defensive lineman is off the board at that time. Yeah, for what the Bengals need, he's perfect.
I would draft him in the first round if I'm the Bengals. Yep.
Yeah,
I wouldn't hesitate.
Yep. And so would Mel Kiper Jr.
Yep.
So that kind of concerns me.
All right. So who's your number one?
My number one. Now, once again, I'm off in La La Land. I will admit it, but I'm going with Brayden Willis. So if you follow me on Twitter, you already know I've already started banging the drum for this guy. He is 6'4", 239. I love his blocking. I love his hands. He does everything. He's a good blocker. He's a good receiver. PFF has him at 264. And I'm like, what are y'all looking at? Like seriously, what are y'all looking at? I think Mock Draft Database had him going at one point they had him as an undrafted free agent. And I was like, y'all are killing me, man. Good hands. He looks fluid. He doesn't look lead-footed. Lines up inside, outside. He won't be confused for Kyle Pitts. So he's not that type of tight end, but he is a good receiver. He also plays special teams. He's also one of those, I will say, character guys, because, while all of his teammates were preparing for the draft, he went on and played in the Cheez-It Bowl. Him and wide receiver Mims. So everybody else at Oklahoma was out preparing for the draft. Mims and Willis were there playing in a bowl with their teammates. So I'm sure that's going to kind of have a positive effect for both of those guys. Spoiler alert on Mims. So yeah, I think he is perfect for what the Bengals are looking for. 39 catches, 514 yards. So still in that whole reception yardage, right in the mix with everybody else. 13.2 yards per reception, 13.3 yards per reception for his career. If he's there in round 6 or 7, that would be excellent. That would be great. Now, I don't know what the Bengals are thinking now that they got Irv Smith, but Bengals fans, easy with Irv Smith. I know we're really excited because we got a tight end. We could still use a tight end. We could still use a tight end. There are 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold on. When did we get all these tight ends on the roster? 1, 2, 3, 4 tight ends on the roster right now. Asiasi, who I liked coming out of college, Bowers, Hudson, and Irv Smith. I think Irv Smith is good, but we could still use a tight end.
Well, he signed a $1 million deal or a 1 year deal, for what, 2 or 3 million or something. It was nothing. So it was definitely a prove it deal. They do need a tight end. Now I love Irv Smith. He doesn't see the field a whole lot. He's battled injury in Minnesota. Pretty much his 2 or 3 years that he's been out. So I hope he stays healthy, and if he does, I think he can be a weapon, of course. But yeah, I think you're right on with that.
All right, listen, let's tear off the Band-Aid. Give me your number 2 so we can just go at it.
All right. I'm on the fence right now a little bit because, all right, my number 2 is Michael Mayer. But let me caveat this real quick. If he's sitting there at 28 and on the Bengals, I wouldn't take him. I wouldn't take him in the first round. I think they have positions of greater need. And I think some of the guys that we've mentioned earlier would be better value picks for the Bengals. If Darnell Washington's there in the first, I would take him. He is my number 1. But there are some things with Mayer that are a little bit concerning. He's not going to be your prototypical, pass and run blocking tight end. Notre Dame did use him in those situations, but that's not really his strong suit.
To their detriment.
But he's a guy. I like receiving tight ends. I like kind of the hybrid tight ends. He has really good hands. He can make the catches in traffic. He can stretch the field. He was the Gatorade Player of the Year as a senior in high school. So I mean, he has all these accolades. He has every tight end record at Notre Dame. If the Bengals did draft him in the first round, it wouldn't be the first time that the Bengals drafted a tight end out of Notre Dame, in recent memory. So what I saw, I really, really, really like. He's been described as the most complete tight end in the draft. I would disagree. I think Washington is. But well, I'm not going to name the source, but I really, really like him. But he isn't somebody, like I said, that I would take in the first round. So go ahead and crap on Michael Mayer.
I don't want, my thing with crapping on these college kids. I don't like it, although I shouldn't mind it anymore. They're getting paid, so it's not really like I'm crapping on these unpaid poor people. But what is it with? All right, so I went because I started hearing and seeing all this buzz about this Notre Dame tight end, Michael Mayer. And I'm like, all right, I can't wait to watch this dude. I need to see what this is about. And the first thing I noticed was he looks like he's running. Now, this is against Ohio State. Take it for what it's worth. So it looked like he's running in cement shoes. Like he can't, like he's like laboring and lumbering. So I guess that way, if you want to compare him to like Gronk, then yeah, because he kind of lumbers a little bit like that when he's running. Mm-hmm. Doesn't look real fleet of foot. The first play. I've never watched this dude play. Never. Mm-hmm. The first play I turned on was against Ohio State. The very first offensive play, he got his quarterback killed, ear-holed, whiffed on the block. He was supposed to pass block, completely whiffed, and got his quarterback killed. It was so bad the refs threw a roughing and passer penalty with targeting on the guy that Michael Mayer was supposed to be blocking. Mm-hmm. First play, Adam.
I watched it, yeah. That's one knock on him is he doesn't, it's not that he can't block, he can. He doesn't finish his blocks. I don't know if he's taught to chip and finish his or start his route, or I don't know what that was.
No, that was just a whoopsie daisy. Yeah. That was a ole. That was a, could you imagine? Now, for all those Bengals fans out there who want the Bengals to draft Michael Mayer, could you imagine that being Joe Burrow? And the guy he whiffs on is Myles Garrett. Mm-hmm. Just picture that, because this could happen. This wasn't he got outbeat, out strategy. There was no blocking schemes or anything like. No. Yeah. He just got his quarterback knocked out. You know who's going to draft Michael Mayer? I'm calling it now. I'm calling my shot now. The Miami Dolphins, because they don't mind getting their quarterback shellacked.
Yeah.
Because they draft guys like Liam Eichenberg, and they're still talking about having him start competing for a starting job on the offensive line. But who can blame him, because he got drafted in the second round? So why not draft another guy who they're going to call a blocking tight end? And this guy, nobody's going to get excited about the blocking tight end who can catch in traffic, blah, blah, blah. He can't block. He can't block. He's not a good pass blocker. He's not a good run blocker. All the people who are saying that he is a good blocker, a blocking tight end, are the same people who don't watch the stuff. They hear it and then they repeat it. It is not true. I disagree with you, Adam. You say he can do it. I'm telling you, he cannot. He cannot. And for every one of you, you know who you are, who are going to post some type of response under this and show me a picture of Michael Mayer pushing somebody down the field. I've got 10 that I can show you. He's getting pushed around. He's whiffing on blocks. He's getting his quarterback drilled in the ear hole. Don't miss me with that. Man, I can't. Wow. I even tweeted out, like, what's the deal with this dude? Like, what is the F? Here was one of my picks before I changed it, because I only have 4 tight ends at first. And my number 3 was going to be Jake Ferguson.
So hoping for that trade with Dallas, huh?
if you're going to spend a first round pick on Michael Mayer, I'd rather you send it to Dallas and get Jake Ferguson. Dallas would trade Jake Ferguson for your first round pick, and that would be a better pick than going with Michael Mayer.
Yeah, I hear you. But I also don't want my tight end blocking Myles Garrett either. So
Yeah, but
um,
if your tight end's going to block Myles Garrett, make sure he can do it.
yeah. Well, not many people can block Myles Garrett.
Jake
So
Ferguson can.
well, we'll see. We'll see
Samaje
if
Perine can.
he can block Myles Garrett one on
Samaje.
one. You'll have to refresh my memory.
Oh, Dallas. Goal line situation. 1-on-1. Myles Garrett coming off the right side. Samaje Perine stuck his face mask right in his chest between the 1 and the 1.
Mm-hmm.
Stoned him. Wall. Boom. You don't remember this? I think I tweeted it out. I cut a clip and everything.
You talking about Parsons?
Yeah. Michael. Who did I say?
Garrett.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Michael.
Unless I heard
I'm
you
sorry.
wrong. Yeah.
I apologize.
But
yeah, I might have said Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did say Garrett.
Okay.
Yeah, Micah Parsons.
Right.
Could you imagine Michael Mayer trying to pass block Micah Parsons?
Well, again, and I was the first to say that he's not going to be your stud blocking tight end, but that's I love what he gives you as a receiver. So, here's the thing. He's a
contested catch tight end.
He is for sure. Yeah. But him in the first or Schoonmaker in the third, I'd go Schoonmaker in the third all day long. So I think we can agree on that.
So let's say we get Darnell Washington in the first. Darnell Washington, and you combine him with a guy like Zach Kuntz. Zach Kuntz didn't make my top 5. Like when he plays, dude, is unbelievable. And
his RAS score was a perfect 10. He's basically the most athletic tight end to ever participate in the combine.
And he can catch. So
he can catch, but I don't think he can block.
He's an excellent receiving tight end. Yeah, but my what I wrote was too bad he can't block a bit. But if you get like Darnell Washington and you get another guy like a Zach Kuntz and you put because you don't need to draft Darnell Washington and Brayden Willis. Like that's just too redundant.
Right. Yeah.
But a Darnell Washington and a Zach Kuntz, that would make sense. Like I wouldn't agree with it from a blocking standpoint, but from a position tight end room standpoint, that would make a lot of sense. You got two guys who do two different things. So and then you have somebody like Irv Smith or Devin Asiasi who can come in and do some other things. But I think that combination. But if you just draft Zach Kuntz and just say, I love the way he blocks, then I would disagree with that. Yeah,
totally agree. Did you have any honorable mentions other than Kuntz?
No, Jake Ferguson was my honorable mention.
You're gonna have to get past Jake Ferguson.
Why? How? How?
He's a Dallas Cowboy.
Yeah, but he shouldn't be. That's my whole point. Who are watching these guys? Jeez. Yeah. Who are watching these guys?
Well, now that Dalton Schultz is gone, he might be featured. You can see a lot more of him in Dallas. So,
yeah,
good stuff.
Good stuff. I guess that's all we got, and that's enough. That's enough. So thanks for joining us, and we will look at another position group next week, and hopefully every week leading up into the draft if we have time. But we are going to do our best. We can promise you that. Okay. And until next time, everyone, be safe, be careful, have a great day, have a Who Day.
Who Day.
Putting Who Day in your day on the Adam and Adams Show.
Marie!
What?
Babe, can you go get me some more Cubanisto? I don't have any more Cubanisto, please.
Pardon? Mais ça va pas ou quoi? Mais va le chercher ton Cubanisto. Lui, non? Il est fou, je crois pas. Mieux.